Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Marriage Matters. This is, for those of you who are watching for the very first time, my name is Glenn Coleman, and I'm joined, as always, by my beautiful wife,
Tanya Coleman.
And we have some special guests, as you can see.
Yay!
Our great friends, the Pires.
Yeah.
That's it. Come on.
Did you hear?
You got your Portuguese Spanish going right now.
So we have with us Andre and Aline Pires, and
Yes.
we've just, I guess we met, I don't know,
How many
years
years
ago.
ago, guys?
And
5 years.
But almost 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And they were here in Lake Charles with us for a while. They were a great blessing to our lives.
Yes, absolutely.
And, became, part of the family. So we're gonna have a conversation. So this show, for those of you again who are watching for the first time, this show is called Marriage Matters, and we just talk about all things relationships, whether that's husband and wife, whether that's kids, whether that's whatever relationship you're in. Hopefully you can get something out of this that'll help you out. So we're gonna go ahead and jump right into it.
Mm-hmm.
So first thing we want to do, let's kind of talk about you guys. Tell us how long you've been married. Well, first of all, let's start. How long have you been married? How long have you been married?
21 years this year.
21 years.
20 years. And I know I know everybody's saying 21 years.
Right,
They look
they
so
look fine.
young. They are young. They are really young. But tell us the story of how you guys met and the ages and all that. So go ahead.
The good stuff. Give us the good
It
stuff.
was all good.
Well, I'll let Aline start. It's a great story. She's a great storyteller. She never misses the details, so I'll just let her run with it.
Okay.
Well, I think first of all, we did not get married in kindergarten, as some people think. It was not child marriage, but we were very young.
Yeah, very young.
Yeah, I was 16. Andre was 18. And yes, we started dating actually young. And then at that age, we were praying about our relationship. And he came to the United States to live with his dad here in Massachusetts. And he left me there, and we were just engaged. But
Actually, we weren't even engaged.
yeah, we
we
were
were
still
just
dating.
dating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got engaged months later, like
That's true.
3-4 months later. But
She wanted to make sure that I was still connected. She's like,
Lock the
I don't want to
merchandise.
lose that.
but throughout that relationship, it was like 2 years, almost 2 years that we between dating and getting married. But
yeah.
we used to pray a lot because we both believed we had a calling, and we wanted to fulfill that calling in God together.
Yeah.
So we had big plans, as every teenager. We had big plans and big dreams, but we knew that how our thoughts were, how can we do this together and do it right? And of course, our parents did not wanted us to get married. It was like a thing,
Right.
I was 16, so my parents are like, no, absolutely not. That's out of, no, it's not a good idea. But I remember praying with my mother a lot, because she said, if God tells me that this is the right time, I will allow this to happen. If not, forget about it. So he was here praying with pastors and friends, and I was there praying with her at 3 a.m. It wasn't easy. If you're a teenager, you must know that. Go ahead.
No, you said I was there. Let's tell our watchers, our listeners, where you guys are from.
Yes. So we're from
Brazil.
Okay.
Yeah, we're from Brazil. So
From Brazil.
So Aline, what happens is my dad was already living here in the States,
Mhm.
and I came to live with him, and she stayed in Brazil. So we had 6 months apart, and so we had been dating for about 1.5 years.
Yes.
And I came and I said, "Don't worry, I'm coming back for you." So
We did.
I said, I'm gonna come back, and we're gonna get married, but I wasn't really sure. I think like they said, I wrote a check. I wasn't sure I wasn't going to be able to cash it later on. So I came. I stayed here for 6 months. Aline stayed in Brazil. So during that time, it was funny, just thinking about, like, we're talking today. Back then, technology just wasn't there.
Yeah.
So we would talk on the phone maybe like once a week.
Yeah, for 20 minutes.
20 minutes, and it costed me a fortune because it was like you used to buy those prepaid phone cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you talk like 5 minutes, the call gets dropped, and then like you lose your money. I'm like, oh. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Awful.
It feels like it was 200 years ago.
Yes.
No?
Well, it was 21 years ago,
Yeah,
man.
it's been
Yeah.
21 years.
21 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So So then, we like Aline said, she was praying. I was praying kind of, inside my house. I was kind of praying by myself, and then I had some friends that kind of connected with me in faith. Like, okay, let's pray about this. Make sure it's the right time.
Yeah.
It's the right thing to do. And I'm so grateful for her mom. Her mom, just because I don't know if I would even go. I'm not sure if I would pray with my daughter about that. I'm like, all right, we're not even praying about this. I already know what the
Yeah, because, I mean, how old is Victoria right now?
Victoria's 16. I don't even like talking about it, to be honest with you.
Yes. Absolutely. And I think now I know that I think she did the 3 a.m. praying thing just to make hard on me. She was probably testing it, like if you're really serious about this, you will do it. If not, she will know right away, like, what is your deal? But I was there barely hanging, like with my eyes, like my spirit was gone. My eyes was like half closed, half open, but I really wanted to, because I believe God was saying yes to me, but I needed her approval and her blessing.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, if that's the price I have to pay, I'm going to wake up and pray with you so God can talk to you. and I believe he did before she ended the whole ordeal, but she held on to me. She held me hostage for a couple of days until she finally broke, and she was like, well, I heard from God, and he said that I should let you go. And she wasn't happy about it, of course. She wasn't happy for a minute. The wedding, to the point where we left the country to come here together because he went back, we got married, and then we came here together. So to the very day I left, she was really not happy about the whole thing. Both my parents, my father too, but she knew, like, she would talk to people and say, I know this is the will of God. I know that God is in charge. So that's why I'm releasing, even though it isn't funny, but I'm doing it because I know he's in charge. So that was the story.
Whew. And I'm glad she did, though. I'm glad she did. I'm glad she did. Like I said, to me as a father, I don't even think I would engage in that thing. I was like, okay, let's just forget about it. You're just, we're not even considering it. And the fact that she really prayed, but I believe, and I'm so grateful that even though I think our maturity level was this big, we had no idea what we were getting into, getting married that young, 2 kids, I was, but actually it was funny because when we were traveling back to the States, and I'm in the airplane, I'm holding Aline's hand, I'm thinking, okay, what if they don't let us back in? I'll have to go back to Brazil. I don't even know what I'm gonna do to provide for this young lady here. I'm having all kinds of crazy thoughts because I'm like, dude, what did I just do? Like I had no doubts about her, but I didn't know like what I was gonna do about the life.
Yeah.
So
even because I was 22 when we got married, and you were 20.
More than 22.
I didn't know she wanted to,
4 years older than Glenn.
Yeah, I was like, oh, maybe she didn't want to. On the show
Yeah, we have. I was just messing with you.
I know it doesn't. Everybody knows she's younger than me, so I can't, But anyway, when I remember the morning after we got married, and because we left that night to go to a hotel in Houston because we were flying out for our honeymoon. But I remember waking up the next morning and was like, holy crap. I'm married. Like, what do we do now? It's like, what do we do?
What now?
It's like, what is,
Right.
what are we supposed to be doing? We're
Yeah.
supposed to be talking to each other, so.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're here.
Yeah, it's like.
Full time.
Yeah, you're not going anywhere.
Won't go away.
But I was listening to a podcast a few months back. I thought about you guys. What's the girl's name? Issa. I can't remember her name. She has like a very unique name. You know what I'm talking about? She wrote the book, What the Church
Oh,
Doesn't
yeah.
God, Sex, and Marriage, or
Right.
something like that. The things that the church forgot to talk about.
Right.
Something.
I'm gonna
Really,
find the
really
name.
great book. You don't have to. But anyway, she was talking about how she was talking to another pastor, and he was saying how it's better because a lot of people they talk down on getting married early, but he was saying that it's a good thing in a way because then you get to form all of your morals and your beliefs and how you do things together.
So true.
Because a lot of people, when they get married later in life, if they're, 35 or whatever,
Right.
they pay bills a certain way, they think a certain way about money.
Yeah.
And so, like, by that time, you may have even made a little money. So now you got somebody else coming and you got to try to merge your
Everything
worlds together.
Yeah.
But get married early, you get to create all that together.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So true.
And we experienced that too. I mean, I think like for Aline and I, it's like our whole, adult years. We don't know anything else other than each other.
Right. Right.
So, like everything that I think about has got to have her in the midst, so it's just like I can't really do anything without even considering what's going on in her mind, so I think it's helped us out a lot, just the way we deal with problems and things like that. So, but I don't recommend it.
For all my teenagers out there, don't try this at home.
Don't try this at home.
Don't try
Don't
this
try
at
this
home.
at home.
Yeah.
It's like you definitely have to know that was God for
But
you
I
guys.
think that's the key is to know it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because to me, it when it takes all of the. Because even with us, I mean, I dated and it's like you do all. But if at 16 that this is my husband, think about all of the pain and the heartache and the
True.
all that you saved, So that I think that's a great thing.
Right.
So,
Yeah, we just
So-
may
And all the time wasted too.
yeah.
And you'll
yeah.
know in 4 more years, you'll still know. So
Yes.
And I'm not saying that, because Bethany's turning 16 this year, so I'm not saying that she needs to. I know. It's like, even like with us, because at first I didn't want to get married because I had a lot going on in my life at the time. My parents had just gotten divorced after like 22 years of marriage. They called it quits. So I was just like, I was kind of like, what's the point of marriage? But with the thing that kind of really assured me was, okay, I know she's going to be my wife. I knew that. So it's like, what am I waiting? Because I always said I was going to wait till I was like, what did I say? I think 28.
yeah, he was gonna be like old.
That's not
I know, I'm joking.
No, I know.
Don't start.
You were
don't start,
almost there
don't
when
start.
you got married. No, but for me, I was like, okay, what am I waiting for? If I know now that she's my wife, then what am I waiting for?
True.
Yeah.
So anyway, so moving forward, so you guys are married, so you're in the States. You
Yeah.
Brazil, right? You came. How long after was it immediately you came to the States?
Well, yeah, because we actually I went to Brazil in September to get married in October and come back the week after. I stayed there for a month. I'm like, this is a rescue mission. I'm going there, getting her, and bring her back home. That was basically. And first, the cool thing is I had no money. I was completely
The cool thing.
broke. I actually, it was like I was beyond broke because I actually left here. I didn't even have the money for tickets to come back. That's how crazy.
Wow.
I don't know if I was crazy or if I had too much faith back then and didn't know it was faith or whatever it was.
I think it was faith mixed with being a teenager.
Yeah.
You're a teenager, your brain can go only so far.
That's
Your
far,
ideas
yeah.
and your
No.
processing.
Yeah.
So
That's the age where you take most most
Risk.
risk at that age.
Yeah.
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 That
That's
was
what we
definitely
did.
it.
It was a risk. It was the biggest risk of our entire lives. But
Yeah.
I would say that the transition coming here
Mhm.
was brutal
Yeah.
on me
True.
because I was younger and I was the only girl in my family. I have two brothers, older brothers. So,
You're the youngest?
huh?
You're the youngest?
I'm the youngest, yeah, and
Wow.
I'm the only girl in the house.
Wow.
So I was the youngest, the youngest, and the only girl. So I was treated differently just because I was a girl and I was young. So my brothers, they had a lot of stuff that they had better than me, but a lot of stuff because I was the last child. So the house my parents built was already done, and a lot of the hardships was part of the past when I was born. So so I grew up being kind of pampered by my aunts and my mom and my dad because I was like the only girl and, the youngest and like the last baby. And my mother actually couldn't have me. So it was sort of like a miracle baby to them. And so when I came, we moved in with his father and his mom and his sister.
Yeah, man, it was completely
and another
chaotic.
couple that were like completely strangers, and like everybody had their own room, but our room was in a house with a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
So it is because, and then we were virgins. Just a side note, trying to figure it out how to do this thing by ourselves because
Oh, good.
our parents never had a talk or, never crossed their minds to say, oh, they're going to get married. Let's sit and explain to them how it works.
Yeah.
So,
And actually, the internet was actually coming up in '99. That's when I was starting. And I'm not sure if I should have gone to the internet to get counseling on that. But
Waiting for a rude
God,
awakening,
we
huh?
didn't. but transitioning, because I remember this, I have this tiny testimony of one day I was in this bathroom. It was the only bathroom in the apartment for like the whole bunch. And I was used to like in the house because it was like all men and my mom and I were like the only girls. We had our own soap.
Oh.
So there was like the man's soap and the girl's soap. My mom was like a little bit of OCD. So I remember living in this apartment with like 300 people. And I'm like, man, I have this soap that we share with everybody. And I was like, God, I miss my soap. But it was so funny that day, I can't even remember how, but I remember that someone came and gave it to me, or Andre stopped at a store. I can't remember the way, but someone gave me a box with homemade soap, and it was like craft and like special, and it was so unique. And I remember, like, to me, that was an answer. Because I pray in the bathroom, I was like, God, I had my own soap in my room, in my house. It was like, now I'm like living with 400 people and I share the soap with all of them. And Andre was like working double shifts. Like he was working around the clock.
Yeah.
So I was like,
I was trying to
crazy.
save some money for my second rescue mission, which was to get us out somehow.
Yes. And pay for the first mission.
Yeah.
And so we were like, And and then I was forced into high school, and I didn't speak a word in English, not even hi or bye. And then I'm sitting there, everybody speaking English. I have no idea what they're saying. The teacher's yelling, and it was just like,
It's a shock.
it was too much,
Yeah.
I guess.
It was rough.
But we were constantly praying. Like, I don't even remember how we survived. I
Yeah.
just remember that at like some point I was like, God, this is crazy. I remember like, have I done the right thing? Because I love him, but the situation was so chaotic around us both.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about
Yes.
it.
So you guys, so that was your first, you came to the States and you stayed here for a while, and I think you went back to Brazil.
Yeah, no. So the first time we came,
Mm-hmm.
once we arrived back after getting married, then we lived here for about 11 years.
Okay.
So that's when we began to build our family. We moved out. How long after? About what, 9 months or so? that we moved out of that apartment.
That apartment, no, because when we moved out, we moved to Hudson with your family. Then it was because the thing is, we had his father first, then his mom and sister arrived, then brother-in-law, then his second sisters.
Yeah.
Because he has 2 sisters, I have 2 brothers. So his second sister arrived with her family. So then we got this big old house with many rooms.
Let me feel you guys. Maybe you're not really familiar with that cultural aspect of things. So I'm not sure if it happens still, but back then, the goal was for you to come here and leave, with as frugal as you could, spending. So what
as an immigrant.
As an immigrant, right? Because you're here, what you're trying to do is save a lot of money, because at some point you're going to go back. So many families, especially Brazilians and Hispanics, Latinos, they would come, they would rent these big houses and just, share the rooms.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, what happened is we came, Aline and I, then my mom and my dad was already here. Then my sister came with her husband, and my older sister came with her. So we had this big house. And so all of these couples, they all had their own rooms, but it was just like this
Village.
One apartment. It was like an apartment village, kind of. And that was it. And for us, I think we've always kind of been countercultural a little bit.
Yes.
Because we're like, you know what, we need to get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Probably Aline first, because for me, what I'm trying to do is just like, let me just work. Get home. That's all I'm thinking. But she's like, you know what? We got to get out of here, because we need to. It's a fairly young marriage. Right. So there's so many things that are like out of place that we need to put in place, and we're just not going to be able to do it with all these people. Mm-hmm. They all had the best intentions. They all, trying to love on us, but we needed to be separated so we could begin to develop ourselves. But at the early beginnings, that's how it was.
And I kept thinking, if I left my parents, how come you can't leave yours? So
that's true too, huh?
it was the question going on at the time. I was like, I left my family, I think we should leave yours too. And it wasn't in a mean way, because it was we living together. There was not like conflicts, and like it wasn't ugly at all. And we were saving money, of course, because everything was split in like everybody. So between everybody, so it was a lot of it was a saving lifestyle. But we realized that we could not get to the places where we were trying to get living like that. And we went against the current back then, because that was the lifestyle every Brazilian used to live. And it was very normal. And if you're getting your own apartment, either you're making a lot of money or you are crazy or you're not trying to make money at all. And our goal, I remember it was a big war between us and our parents, because to my family in Brazil and the same way to his family here, we were supposed to work and make money and buy, I don't know, property in Brazil, because that's what they did back then and still do, or buy property here, or, you know, grow and prosper. And we were like firm onto the fact that we were here to do the work of God. And it was like, we're here as missionaries. We're not here as workers. We're not here to make money. We came here to save lives. So that doesn't make any sense that we're just gonna work and make money. And then what about the work of God that we came here to do? Like, we actually got married for this. This was the first purpose that we had together. How come we're just gonna forget about it? Yeah. And that caused a lot of frustration in between our families. Back then we had the deal that you had to call, and this card, it was too expensive, and you could just talk 20 minutes. Right. And I remember calling my mom like once a week and trying to do more than once a week. And I remember thinking, I can't let her know I'm upset or sad. I have to, you know, right. Hi, I'm so happy. Things are going great. And it wasn't all the time, but I couldn't let her feel the fear or the insecurity, and she would fall apart. So that was another thing on the notes, but she would ask me as well. She would say, you guys are there for a year now, and you're supposed to have something. And I would say, Mom, I'm not here to work to get money. This is not what I came here for. And she would go like, but you have to, you can't survive out of the love of God only. I was like, and we did have jobs, but it wasn't our focus at all.
Yeah, it was funny because when just like before, just to complete the thought, like we were about to leave Brazil. I mean, it was funny because our last service at the church we used to go, we were with the youth group. That's the crew that we hung out with.
Right.
So that's how young we were. Like, we're just with the youth group here, so we're about to leave and get married. And there's actually a video recording of us saying, "Yeah, we're going to the States, and we're gonna win so many souls for God. We're gonna win the whole country for Jesus."
We did say that.
It's like, and so that's our whole motivation. It's kind of funny just to think about it, because we believe that, I mean, there's the love that we had for each other, but we knew that our purpose together was solely to complete an assignment here. There was, until, everything else happens, family comes, and there's all the responsibilities that you got to take care of. But it was so well defined for us that we had a specific goal. And now, this purpose is defining more and more for us. Yeah. It's shaping itself more and more. But even from the get-go, we knew that we were gonna win the States for Jesus. If you guys weren't saved, we're gonna get to you. So,
right?
So I'm pretty sure that just to hear you talk, I mean, the story that that's not even the whole story,
right?
But I know that you said you knew in your heart that you were coming here to win souls.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that knowing that purpose or having purpose in your marriage helped you guys go through all of that you were going through. So just for a little bit, talk about during that time, how did those transitions affect your marriage? Mm-hmm. And if you could, and it may be that you said because we had purpose, it really didn't, but maybe even talk to, if it didn't, how it could have. And then I want you to talk a little bit about, or give people, other couples who may be going through a transition period, maybe not even, I'm gonna call it extreme, maybe not even as extreme as yours, but there is a transit. Matter of fact, we're recording this right now in the middle of the coronavirus quarantine. Right. So there's a lot of people who are going through transitions. Right. Maybe they got their work hours cut. Or maybe for the first time in their lives, they're forced to be in the house together, right. Which, that some marriages just can't take that, right. So kind of talk about, I'm just saying, so kind of talk about how did the transition and all that you guys went through, how did that affect your marriage? And how were you guys able to rise above all of the circumstances?
Uh-oh.
Okay. That's a great question. I'll just speak to it a little bit. I think, we originally, from the beginning, we didn't know anything about purpose or anything. We just knew, I think the only thing we knew was like, there's a passion inside of us that is so connected. I would look at Aline, we would talk, we would dream about going to nations. I mean, as teenagers, we know that someday, we're going to go to nations, we're going to preach. There was actually a Brazilian pastor who lived here in the States for so long, and he would preach in Portuguese, and every once in a while he would throw a word in English. I'm like, when I grow up, I'm going to be preaching like this guy. Like the two of us would be dreaming about these things. And that was like really the foundation for everything, because like there were so many, our story has so many ups and downs. It's even hard to count, too many to count. But one of the things like that purpose has the foundation for us, because every time when we don't know what to do to respond to whatever is going on outside, we know that there's a calling that has united us. So we refer back to it.
Right.
What were we called to? So let's say if it's like, okay, we got a problem with one of the kids. Okay, how do we bring that into what we were called to and let that flush into their lives?
Yeah.
And if we have trouble financially, how do we deal with that in a way that sometimes, like Aline, she's a woman, naturally more emotional, and sometimes it's like she's asking all the questions that I don't have answers for. Yeah. I'm like, okay, what do I do? And because many times, I think just because our purpose is so strong inside of us, every circumstance that will come against us will point back to our purpose.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If we're having trouble with the kids, it's because of what we're doing in our purpose. If we're having trouble financially, it's because of what we're doing, with the purpose. So we're so focused on that. But then again, we're able to look at each other and say, you know what? What's inside of you and what's inside of me is so strong that even when we try to run away from it, it feels like we're always drawn back to it. Yeah. So in the middle of these transitions, there's sometimes when we feel like we're just gliding, everything's going fine, it's like great, and we feel like it's gonna last forever until something else happens. It's like, it was going so well, and then a surprise comes, and then we always link it back, because I think every move that we've made so far, I mean, we've made some really radical moves in our lives, as a family, as a couple, things that people look at us and say, you guys are absolutely crazy. Even going to Louisiana, when we went to Louisiana, I mean, we almost like parachuted into Louisiana. We knew nobody. I mean,
right, nothing.
But we knew that it was, when we talked about it, was like, this is connected to our purpose. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If we go there, that'll flourish what's inside of us, and it's gonna bring life into other people. Let's just do it. Yeah. And then we'll figure out the details on the, as we get there. and we've been able to experience that so many times. When we went to Brazil, it was moving back after living here for 11 years. Aline's mom passed away. Aline said, you know what? I need to go back to Brazil to spend time with my dad. I can't just not do it. I need to. I said, woman, you're crazy. Thou art crazy. Absolutely. Because
you said, I'm not coming with you.
Oh yeah, I probably said that too.
That's what you said.
But it never works. It never works, But I said, because we had never intended to go back. Yeah. We had nowhere to go. I mean, there was no structure for us there. But we said, you know what, let's pray. And prayer has always been a factor in the midst of every chaos we've gone through, we always say, we need to pray. Let's pray together.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the recipes, like Glenn said, if you're watching this video today, prayer, don't pray by yourself if you're a husband, and don't pray by yourself if you're a wife. In the midst of your chaos, come together as a couple, because as you pray, it's crazy how you as a husband will hear your wife's prayers, and that's going to speak to you. And I believe that Aline hears my prayers, and that will speak to her, because that's the moment we're most vulnerable before the Father. And I think we can get to know each other. I think we've been praying together every morning for about a year and a half or two. We just made a decision. So we can't do it in the house normally. So I call her on my way to work. Right. Say, let's pray. And sometimes we pray, we laugh. We have about a 30-minute talk on our way to work. And we'll pray, we'll bring up. Sometimes we have nothing specific to pray, but we'll just give thanks. And in that moment, she can hear my heart. I can hear her heart. And we believe that that's bringing us closer to God. So prayer has definitely been one of the key elements for these moments of transition. So going to Brazil, we had, absolutely nothing that we could count on. We had no money. And it feels so bad for me to say that, because you've never had any money.
But that's the thing. Yeah. These people. But I don't think anywhere we have gone through, like, being called, we never arrive anywhere with anything.
That's true.
Like in Boston, we had money for the moving, but it wasn't like, oh, we have a whole life.
It was exactly structure. What we needed for the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
I think that he asked how the changes have impacted our lives the most. And I would say financially, in what way? In a way that being together for 21 years, you expect regular couples, you would say, well, they have a mortgage now, they have each other. I mean, each one of them have a car, and, they have a normal life. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we look at each other and we're like, baby, we need our own house. We need a better this, and we need this, and we need funds for this, like every couple does, right? But the changes that we've been through since we're together never allowed us to stop at a place and build our lives together. Like, okay, now we're gonna build us. Mm-hmm. We're not gonna worry about church or work or kingdom. We're just gonna invest in us, working and building our finances and everything. That was never the first priority. That was never a priority for us. Mm-hmm. So that has impacted our finances, because we never lacked anything. Like you said, we always arrive in places with nothing, and things just come. Yeah. It's like God is like, okay, as soon as you arrive, I will drop from heaven everything you need. Yeah. So we have to literally arrive and look up and, okay, we're waiting, and then it comes. But we never lack anything, but we never had like this structure that some couples dream of.
Right.
Like, we're going to build ourselves up and have college funds and everything. Mm-hmm. But just like Andre said, the identity is so important in these transitions. I was reading with the girls today one chapter of my devotional, Stepping Out of Fear, and it was fear. It was stepping into faith, and that was the very subject of today, was fear of change or fear of transition. Wow. And we read the story of Gideon when the angel of God calls him mighty, and he flips like, I'm not that person. So I was sharing with the girls, we read the devotional, and we were sharing, like, some people, they freak out when God speaks to them about who they are and what they ought to be, or what they ought to do for him. And that's like something, I think something very strong happens in your brain when God drops your purpose or what you have to do next. And then you're like panicking. No, I can't do that. It's too crazy. And I talked to them about, the whole virus situation and all the changes happening with school and with jobs, finances, and everything. And reading the devotional, we were sharing of the identity of Gideon is what held everything together. The moment he believed that he was who he was, called by God, he had no problem of fulfilling his mission.
Yeah.
So he went through a lot of changes and transitions, but he made it through because he knew then who he was.
Yeah.
So I think that identity in Christ, believing that we are here for a purpose and the purpose that God has for us have been like the super glue.
Yeah, yeah.
The transitions are like, sometimes it's like worse than a roller coaster. It's like, this is gonna tear us apart. It feels like you're dropping so rough. It's like, this is gonna rip. We know this is falling. And then the calling comes back, and we come to pray, and we're like, okay, let's get it together. There is a purpose, there is a goal, there is something to reach. So we have to stick to the plan and believe.
Yeah.
So that's like.
So would you guys say that you believe one of the greatest things to keep a marriage together is that couple have purpose?
I would think
For
so.
us?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so, because I think one of the things that, as Aline was speaking, it just kept coming to me that our purpose was so strong, and it would always, because he kept me working on myself, kept Aline working on herself, and even though a lot of I told Aline, and I said, you know what, we really need to keep things under perspective, because unfortunately sometimes it's hard for you to grow in life really in a very balanced way. Sometimes you grow in one area more, and in another area more, and in another area more, and it's hard for you to grow, because for you to grow very balanced, it's going to take longer.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? If you want to grow financially, you can spike up financially,
Yeah.
but then other areas are going to be left behind.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And for every other area. But one of the things that I believe that we've always worked on was our marriage.
Yeah.
Was our relationship, was keeping how am I treating you? I'm not really romantic. Aline knows I'm struggling with that a little bit. I love her more than anything, but it's an area that I'm still working on. But like our sex life, how is sex going? Like we gotta keep that going strong. That's that's gotta go strong. Because that's just important. We got to keep that going. And I told her the other day, it hasn't been that long. I said, you know what? We have something that property, money, and things would never be able to replace.
Mm-hmm.
We have what many millionaires, multimillionaires would love to have but couldn't buy.
Mm-hmm.
And we have it. So since we have that, and that's strong, that's solid, let's build the other things now.
Yeah.
But the main things are already there. So now I believe we can build on a much stronger foundation than many people who have built other areas in their lives and are now trying to, because like now it's the two of us, and our purpose is like it's laser focused more than ever. Our passion for one another is greater more than ever. Now it's easier for us to build something together.
Yeah.
It's taking longer. Yeah, it's taking longer, but good things take longer to grow and to develop and to mature. So I don't want to brag, but I celebrate that. You see what I'm saying? I really celebrate that.
You should be excited. You should be excited about that. And I guess it kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier about, because you guys were married so early,
Mm-hmm.
Your focus was on each other, and really when you think about it, it kind of all balances out, because so if you spent the first 21 years working to build all that stuff, now that you have all that stuff, now you got to spend the rest of your life trying to develop the foundation that you were talking about.
Right.
And as you guys were talking, there's two things that I hear is, number one, is that purpose that, like you were saying, it's purpose. And then the second thing I think, which Tanya and I, we talk about this a lot, but we did a teaching called The Two. And, you know, we in the Bible just says the two shall become one, but I think so many times we forget that there is still a two. And you talked about working on yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and I think so many times that's where a lot of the growth, we don't take the time to do the individual growth. Like you said, you know, and be aware of, be willing to ask our spouse, how am I doing?
Right.
Yeah. You know, because I always say this, that it's hard for you to hit a target that you don't know what it is.
Yes.
So true. Yep.
Yes.
If how am I doing? How am I doing on the romance? How am I doing on the sex? How am I doing on, and, you know, and although, you know, for me, I know a lot of times I don't know if I was afraid to ask those questions. I think for me, the fear was that if I wasn't doing great, I didn't have the tools to get to greatness. You know what I'm saying? But what I found out was that everything that I needed was already in me, or I could go to the Father, our Heavenly Father, and He could show me what to build. But I think that is so key, and I think that's so great that, you know, not only are you guys working on the marriage, but you're also working on each other, because it's hard to work on the marriage when the individual doesn't know who they are. Right. You know, you talked to Aline, you talked about identity, and, you know, so many people, they're searching for that, and they're trying to find that and discover that. And that's why I think, like I said, for me, I really didn't know who I was, so it was hard for me to hear that I wasn't doing so great, because my identity or my ego was so attached to that. Right. Yeah. And if Tanya would say something, you know, and I always joke with about this one time, when I thought, you know, I was, you know, doing really well, and
don't we all think that?
You want me to tell? Can I?
That's fine.
Okay, so, you know, we were talking about, you know, like the sex thing, you know, and we were watching. It was the Today Show, and they were talking about, it was this female doctor on there talking about, you know, the women and being fulfilled, and so I was like, you know, well, how am I doing? So, you know, me, I was like, but, you know, I had to say, okay. So what do I need to be doing?
Yeah, come on.
To do better. And I've gotten better.
Absolutely.
I've gotten better, you know.
Come on, high five you, man.
That is so good. So, I mean, from here, I guess, we'll see. I had some other questions. Oh, here's one thing that we were talking. So you talked a lot about your purpose. You knew your purpose was, you were called to work to do God, to build the kingdom. So for a little bit, talk about marriage and ministry. Yeah. Let's talk about that, because I know we see it all the time. And I mean, I don't know what the whole situation was. Like, we have some friends, and he was a pastor, and, you know, and I always admired them so much in their relationship. And I never forget, we were at this event, and I thought you wanted something. She giving me the tap on the knee. It's like, am I talking too much? She just wanted to touch me, that's all.
She just can't get enough of you. I know. Yeah, we know.
But so we saw them, and I was like, well, how is such and such? He's like, oh, you didn't hear we're divorced. And I tell him, I was like, whoa, that really did something to me. And so I'm like, how is it that, you know, you can teach the word and preach the word, but, you know, your whole marriage, your marriage is, you're helping others save their marriage, but your marriage is falling apart. Yeah. So kind of talk about marriage and ministry from whatever aspect you want to go. Because I know there's some people watching who are, you know, they want to do great things for the kingdom. But I know that it could become more about the work than the relationship. Right.
So true.
So kind of talk about that. How are you guys able to navigate through that?
Wow, that's huge. I want to speak a little bit. I want to leave just say something on this. but it's just because it's so dear to my heart, because we just came out of last year of a huge experience for us. We moved to Massachusetts with one purpose, one goal only, which was just to plant a church. Our goal was to move here to plant a church. And for the past, between the beginning of 2018 to for a year, almost 18 months, all we did, we went head on this thing. We're setting up, we're moving everything that we can. We're connecting with people, doing everything that was possible, focused 100% on planting this church. And but that process really consumed us in a way that was not healthy. You know, so that would have been like the ultimate thing for us in ministry, you know, considering when we left Brazil 20 years ago, coming here, planting that church would have been like the thing. And I think for me, there was like, it was bigger than what I thought it was going to be. It demanded more than I thought it was going to demand. And it really put a level of pressure on us as a couple that we didn't foresee. Now we were pushing through. We were really pushing. We were going to make it happen. It doesn't matter what's going to happen. We're just going to get it done. But and I'll tell you, just because I don't want to forget this, a lot of the things that we did, a lot of the decisions that we made throughout these 20 years, and I'm just grateful for God, because one way or another, we've made these decisions, not even knowing we were making these decisions, but they were going to help us down the road. Many times it was Aline just crying out for help, or just saying no to me, because look, we got to slow down. And even though at times I didn't want to hear her, and I did, and I was able to see that we really, if we had kept going, it was going to crush us. Like a couple of things that happened to us coming in, we were able to connect with local pastors here. So that was like phenomenal to us. Just getting that local support, getting people that were already here doing the work of God, and speaking into our lives. We would speak to them, telling them what was happening, really, you know, opening up, letting them know what was happening. They would speak back to us, give us feedback, and kind of coach us in the process. But it was late spring last year. We hit a really, really hard challenge. Aline was almost stepping into depression because the pressure of planting that church was so great in us. We wanted to do it. Our passion was like coming out of our pores, but there were missing factors that we were not seeing.
But one little thing before I keep going is that it wasn't affecting our marriage directly, like the relationship between us. It was affecting us as individuals.
Yeah.
It was affecting our emotions as individuals and our minds. And so we were like, it was funny because I picture ourselves like as like exhausted soldiers trying to carry each other, you know, when you're coming out of war and you're like barely carrying yourself and you want to help the other one. Yeah. So we were kind of like that. Our relationship with each other was really strong, and we were praying together and going. But really, he was not doing well. I was not doing well. Right. But we were like trying to be strong for each other. Yeah. Right. And that was kind of like ruining everything. Yeah.
You were each individually having your own struggle, but you were not necessarily sharing your individual struggle with one another.
Yes.
True. And one of the things that I'm mostly grateful for in Aline is that she will speak up. Yeah. You know, if she sees a problem, if she notices something, she'll speak up. Yeah. And I think part of me working on myself so much is because she'll let me know. So it's just like, this is. So and I'm grateful for it, because you know sometimes you're just running a race, you're not seeing so many things. But it came to a point where I'm like, okay, something's not right. The situation is not healthy. I think if we had kept going, at the same speed, at the same, doing the same things we were doing last year, I don't know. It wouldn't have been, we probably wouldn't be having this moment right now, in peace. Something bad would have happened.
Yeah.
We were, again, now we're grateful. We were able to come to, like I said, to these local pastors that came, they coached us. They said, first of all, this is not your church. It's Jesus. This is God's church. You don't need to do it, especially if you haven't done it yet. There's no reason for you to do it the way it is.
Yeah.
They released us from the pressure of having to do it.
Wow.
And that was a weight that came out of our shoulders. And we said, you know what? We want to do it. We're going to have to. Now, for me, as a leader, I had to swallow my pride and say, you know what? I'm not ready. I don't have what it takes at this moment right now. I don't have everything in hands to get this going. Had to talk to my team and, just let them go and say, you guys, I don't even know how I approached it in a healthy way, but
I would say for the people watching that there is a very fine line between your purpose and in ministry, doing the work of God, and your first ministry, who is really your family.
True.
Because this is life as we know. We know how to be together and do the kingdom, like since day zero. Because we met each other inside a church. He was in the worship team. He wanted to be a missionary. I wanted to be a missionary. So we're like, yay, let's do this together. Yeah. But I would say that for us, we were so focused on the purpose, the ministry, and everything that at some point we got worn out, burned out, exhausted. Mm-hmm. But my pastor, our pastor now here in Boston, he says, I pray and I say, God, hit me with a truck, because if you hit me with a bus, I'm gonna get up. and that's basically us. God was hitting us with a buzz, and we kept getting up and like, yes, we're exhausted, but we're gonna keep going, guys. We're never gonna quit. Yeah. And the girls, we were missing time with the girls, missing time with each other, and missing a lot in life. Just focus on that purpose, on that ministry. And that's when our friends and our mentors here called us in and said, this is not healthy. Yeah. Because if you're doing this so greatly, and if you open this church and all of a sudden there's 100 people that are saved, but you're exhausted, sick, your health is degrading, your girls are alone, and you're falling apart, that's not healthy. That's not what God wants. He wants your family first. He wants your heart. He doesn't want you to do this as like, because like I said, it's all we knew. Yeah. It's what we wanted. It was our heart, our focus, and we just went for it. And God was like, hey, slow down. I do want you to fulfill your purpose, but I do want you to know that this is structure right here. Your marriage, your family, your daughters, they come before, and then the rest will follow.
Oh, say it again.
He said, well, I want you to do, because ministry for us, now that we are here and we went through the motions and the transitions, we realize that even if we don't open a church to lead as senior pastors, God still has a purpose in our household to lead. But then he said, I don't want your ministry first. I want your family first, your health inside the house, and then everything will just follow. It will flow. If that pipe is clean, everything will flow through that pipe, and there will be no problems. Yeah. So we're just grateful. We're just
absolutely.
I'm so grateful to know, to just humble people. You both are, just really anointed in what you do in ministry. We had the privilege of just experiencing that while you all were here, but you're so humble and you still listen to God, And even when he says, hold on, or, you know, put the brakes on, or wait, it's like you don't allow that, you know, that I'm anointed to just lead you. It's like, okay, God, you said slow it down or stop or what have you. We're going to be obedient to that. So I'm so grateful just for your humility. Is just a blessing.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, I echo what Tanya said, and I just but I'm thankful that more people in the kingdom are becoming aware of that.
Yes.
And the importance of, you know, I always say that after God created the earth and the animals and all of the things, the next thing he did was created a family.
Right.
You know, and I think that family is so important, because the church can't be the church without the family.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, and so I'm so glad to hear you guys say that. And, you know, I think one of the funny things about, not funny, but one of the things that we're seeing in this time, all these churches are shutting down. So we're realizing that the church is much more than the building.
Then gathering in a
So
mass.
true.
You know, and so now it's almost like we're being forced to say, what else can we do besides meet on Sundays?
Right.
Yeah.
And really take this thing. And it's, I don't know if you remember this, but you remember that guy had made those shirts? The church have left the building.
Oh yeah.
And this guy on Facebook, and this was like 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, man, I want to buy one of those shirts. The church, it said, the church has left the building.
Yeah.
So good. Wow.
That was prophetic. You know, who knew?
Yes.
I saw a funny meme on Facebook. It was I don't know if you guys saw the movie Forrest Gump.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
He was like, and just like that, I stopped running. But there was this meme, he said, it was Forrest Gump, and he was like, and just like that, we were all televangelists.
That's it.
You know, everybody's doing live streaming now, you know?
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
On Sunday morning, it's just like your timeline is just flooded with all church
I
live.
love it.
It is. It's great.
That's awesome.
Great. So, man, look, guys, we want to just thank you guys so much. And I know we could talk forever. But I want to ask you guys, were you willing to do this again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
We're believing to grow this,
Yeah.
and we're believing that one day soon we'll be able to fly you guys in to do the show live with us. So that's
Ooh, we love it.
Fancy.
video set up, and
Yes.
you know we'll fly you guys in. But anyway, just I want to thank you guys so much for sharing all of your wisdom, so much
Yes.
wisdom. And I want to just give you guys each one last thing to tell the people, whatever it is, whatever God puts on your heart, just speak to them. Whatever you want to close us out with.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, okay. No, I think, you know, if you're watching this, first of all, thank you for listening and just kind of hearing our story, and know that it's from the bottom of our hearts that we wish and we want that your marriage is strengthened as well. Make sure that you're surrounded by people who love God and that can speak life into you. Never be by yourself. Never walk alone. You were not designed to walk alone. If you're a husband, make sure you have other men speaking into your life. If you're a wife, do the same thing. Have other women speaking into your life. And as a couple, make sure that you have other couples that are healthy, that are living healthy relationships, that will lock arms with you, that will walk with you on this journey. Never be by yourself. You were not designed to be by yourself. So don't try to do it. It's not a good end of your story. And I believe the most blessed man in the world was married to this amazing woman right here. You know, I'm praying for the next 100 years for us to be together and really celebrate life, celebrate our kids. And you guys, thank you so much, Glenn and Tanya. You guys are inspiration to us. Just the friendship, the love that you guys have inside of you, the passion for God's presence is just tangible, and we know that God's really going to honor you guys in so many ways.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. All right, real quick, give everybody your social media handles.
No, my social. I'm like, let me get my wallet here.
No, not that social.
Let me see how far.
I'm sorry, Aline. You have something to say in closing?
Yeah, I'm sure you do, man.
My bad.
funny. I don't know. After this last 2 years, I would say that if you're a couple, a family, and you're in ministry, and you're a pastor, a leader, working super hard, be passionate about your ministry. Do it well, do it with excellence, but remember your family. Go on walks, go on dates, have family game night, have sex.
Lots of it.
Lots
really
of
good.
it. Take if you have daughters, take them on dates. If you have sons, take them on, I don't know, coffee talks. But don't you ever put your passion for your ministry before your passion for your family. That's what we have learned, and that's what I would say. Yeah, the biggest ministry first.
Remind me, because that was so good. So.
That was so good. Y'all are like some of my favorite people.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are favorite too.
For sure. That's true.
We should live a little closer so we could have dinner.
Yeah, we're gonna come up there and visit you guys. We gotta wait till it warms up though.
Yes.
So tell everybody how they can reach you.
How they can connect with you.
Well, for me, we have our Facebook account together, Andre and Aline. That's ANDRE and ALINE, Andre and Aline. You have your Instagram account.
I'm on Instagram, Andre V Pires. It's Pires, Andre V Pires.
And I have my account, Aline L Pires, Pires.
And also, just go ahead and check Aline's website. It's alinepires.com, and then you can find out more about her book, Stepping Out of Fear.
Awesome.
New York Times bestseller. really cool.
And we have the second book coming probably now, since all the changes happening in the world. Maybe July. It was May, but I would say we're gonna delay a little bit to July. But by summer, we have the second book coming out. Walking in your shoes, choosing compassion as a lifestyle. Yeah. So that will be the second.
That book's gonna be. It's gonna be good.
You are my husband, so.
But I'm telling you, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be super good.
Yeah. So.
Awesome.
All right. So
love you guys
so much again.
We love
Thank you for joining us for this episode. So this is Glenn Coleman, Tanya Coleman, Andre and Aline Pires saying, remember, your marriage matters.
That's it.
Next week.
Bye, guys.